Hi, good morning, and welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 482, and we're here live in Southwest Florida in my backyard. If you're joining me live, please say hello. I will wait to begin a few minutes until people have a chance to pop over from pre-chat and notifications. Hi, Carrie and Joe and Naomi. Thanks for joining live. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Cranjeet. Good morning, Cherie. Good morning, everybody. Hi, Christine and Lily, Chantel, Judy, Pamela, Carol, Lucy, Lisa. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining live. If you end up watching the recorded version, please also feel welcome to say hello. Hi, Melissa and I think Dee Dee, Cynthia, Melissa. I think I'm getting all of them. Hi, Judy. I'm trying. Sorry if I missed your name. Hi, Jemmy. Thanks, Cranjeet. I'm wearing the Summer Love vest in Be So Fine yarn colorway Celestial Blue Mist. And wearing it over one of my Amazon tank top dresses. So I can show you how that all looks together. And this is an example of when I like to wear it where the sleeves don't match. See how my sleeve, the sleeve of the dress is much narrower than the sleeve on the vest. I feel like when you put a cap sleeve on a vest, you have a lot more options in sleeve length. It'll always look good over a long sleeve, 3/4 sleeve, and short sleeve, but it also looks good over a tank top as well. Man, is it bright out here this morning. Yes, these dresses are great. I wear them almost every single day. Hi, Cindy. Carrie's working on another vest first, and then this one. Christine's favorite color, Celestial Blue Mist or the violet? Which is your favorite color? Yeah, the light's actually blowing me out, and I can't see when I'm in the full sunlight. I'm not even looking straight at it. Anyway, we'll get past it. It'll get better, or it won't. Hi, Jill. Good morning. Yes, the Sally vest is beautiful too, and lots of fun ways to wear that one as well. Okay, well, welcome back to Create, Share, Inspire podcast. This is episode 482, and we're here live in Southwest Florida. The sun's rising over the buildings and the trees in the east, and we are in my beautiful tropical backyard this morning. Both kitties are here. There must be something very exciting going on out there. Oh man, I misspoke about the plumeria. I see buds on it still. Does anybody want to see the buds? Last night I was saying that I thought the plumeria was not going to have any more flowers, but if you look up here at the top, can you see the buds forming up there? Yeah, you can see it? Okay, wonderful. Wow, what a nice surprise. I don't see them on any of the other... Oh, we're gonna get buds over here on the end too. I cannot see if I'm in the light. Oh wow, Oh, there's even oh, let's go out there. There's even a flower blooming. Let's go look. That's pretty exciting. Last night I was talking about that it was kind of sad that we were probably not going to get any more flowers. And lo and behold, we have some flowers. I'm going to lift this up. Hopefully you can see. Can you see that one flower that's already open up there? I can't tell if you can see it or not. I'll come back down. Can you see it? So it looks like there's one flower blooming there. There are 2 more buds on that cluster, and then there's 3 more buds on the other cluster. Oh, and we're gonna get more here too. Okay, and over there. Okay, we're not done with flowers. Yay! Well, that's exciting. And if you didn't join me last night, I can show you that my oldest orchid over here is reblooming as well. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 stems, and each of those stems have, I don't know, 6 to 8, 10 flowers on them. Isn't that gorgeous? And that's one of those orchids that does not get maintained at all. It has been sitting on a fence for years and years, and it just every few months grows more flowers. So it doesn't even, that particular one, I think grows flowers more than once a year, because I've seen 3 sets of flowers now in 1 year. So that's amazing. This will be the 3rd set of flowers since picking it up last October. It was a friend of mine's. I had given to a friend of mine 12, 13 years ago, and he passed away last year. And when he passed away, I saw that my orchid was doing so well in his backyard that when we were there cleaning out his house, I took it back home. Just kind of weird, but not weird. Pamela wishes she could have flowers all year. Yeah, depending on where you are, I'm sure there are some things you can do in the house too. I know some people have luck with orchids in the house, but I know it can be a lot more difficult to do. Personally, I don't have a problem with artificial plants in the house because I think that they look beautiful and they're much easier to maintain. I have artificial orchids in my house and it doesn't bother me at all. But I do like having fresh plants. Oh, by the way, my basil plant is not doing well in the plant hanger, unfortunately. I've been trying to water it every day, and the half of it that faces the window is singed dry. So even though that window doesn't get much light, I don't know if it's getting too much something. So I'm gonna probably have to start over with another plant in there. I don't want to give up on my plant holder, so I am gonna try again. But pretty bummed that I wasn't able to keep this one alive. It's not looking that great. Pamela has artificial arrangements. Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd still rather see green than not see green. So, okay, so last night in the podcast we talked about different ways to sew crochet together. And just as a side note, sewing knitting together is a lot easier to do than sewing crochet together, mostly because you can line up your seams so much easier because of the more solid stitch work. So it was quite easy to do a demo on solid edged crochet motifs last night, because to be able to line up the stitches, it's rather easy to line up the stitches like knitting is easier to line up the stitches. So if you're interested in seeing these tutorials, I did a mattress stitch, I did a whip stitch, both with sewing, and then I did a couple of crochet type techniques as well, which was slip stitching through both thicknesses and slip stitch chain 1 through both thicknesses. So we did a lot of different types of tutorials on there. And this morning I thought it might be fun to do the same kind of thing, but do it on lace stitches so that you can see that it's still possible to sew things that don't have smooth edges, and we can still sew through those as well. But before I did that, I wanted to show you some examples of projects that I was thinking of that use some of these sewing techniques. So last night we did slip stitch through 2 thicknesses on the back side of the work. But what I wanted to, and I mentioned that you could also do that on the front side of the work to show a piped edge. So that was here. We did slip stitch chain 1 through both thicknesses, and to show that it could be a piped edge on the fronts of the work. Well, something else you can do is actually single crochet through both thicknesses on the front side of the work to show a piped edge. And to take that even to another level of variation, you can do that through the back loops only or the front loops only. And on this beautiful, so this we can talk about twice because someone asked about joining triangular motifs as well. So all of that information you can find on last night's podcast. So it was really informative, and if you didn't get a chance to watch last night, I highly recommend going back and watching it. So I want to put this up close. So this works single crochet through both thicknesses through the back loop only. So if you look closely, the texture of the front loop only is still visible on all the motifs, and by working the single crochet through both thicknesses to join these motifs, we not only, in a contrast color, we not only create a striking edging border to all of the pieces, but we also create the texture of that piped edge as well. And these, I'll show you, it ends up being, the way this one was put together ended up being like a little more than a half hexagon. So it's 2/3 of a hexagon. Technically, it's 2/3 of a hexagon to create a cape. Really pretty. This is in my first book, Wrapped in Crochet. I am not entirely sure where it's available right now. It's might be available on Amazon. It should still be available on Amazon, and I'm not entirely sure if it's still available on the publisher's website, but we could definitely figure that out. Cherie has the ebook. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm sure that the ebook and the print book are both still available on Amazon, and the ebook might still be available on the publisher's website. I could republish this book if I were to remake all the samples to redo the photography. I have the rights to the whole book except for photography, so it would make it kind of difficult to publish the book without doing that. I don't have the samples anymore, so I'd have to remake everything, which I could absolutely do. But that would take quite a bit of time right now. But in the meantime, I can show you technique-wise. Whoops, let's get back to the next page. Here's another close-up of those motifs joined together. So the other question that came up last night was how to join triangular motifs together. And what I was talking about, but only talking about in theory because we didn't have an example of it, is that in order to create a smooth, solid, flat project in triangular motifs joined together, they need to be unilateral triangles, meaning they have the same length on each side. So these motifs are worked from the center out. This is a triangle worked from the center out. Similarly to a square, a rectangle, or a hexagon, you start in the center, but instead of 4, 6, or any number of repeats, it's 3 repeats. So it's just like a square, but instead of doing 4 repeats and 4 corners, it's 3 corners. And so you make those individually and then join them together. That is different. That is a different shaped triangle than a top-down increasing triangle. Top-down increasing triangle starts here and is worked in rows. And you'll see that this edge is significantly longer than these 2 edges, which is why this type of a triangle would not work for this type of a fabric. Not the same way anyway. You could still join it, but it wouldn't be the same. Because, for example, these triangles, when you see, you can, they line up perfectly to still create a flat fabric. Does anybody have any questions about that? See if there's any more sewn. I think there might be another sewn project. I like the texture too, Luna. It would be cool for a scarf too. You wouldn't have to do such a large project like that. You could do it in a smaller project like a scarf, or you could make a blanket out of it. You could do anything with it. Let's see if I can, I think there's one other project that has some sewing in it. So I thought I'd show that too. Yeah, I think this one is sewn. Let me just double check here. Yep, this one is sewn. So this one's really pretty too. This one is different sizes of squares all joined together. So as long as you get, I worked it so that you would get the repeats correct, so that the number of stitches along each side of the small squares lines up with the big squares, so that they end up all being able to be sewn with the right number of stitches. Hopefully those lines show up in there. So you've got some log cabin big squares and then some little squares in between them. I think they're all log cabin squares, but just different sizes. And then you can see the finished one here. And so those squares were joined together. Now, the technique that I used for this blanket would have worked as well. So if you didn't want to sew them together, you could absolutely have joined them together with a slip stitch join as well. In this pattern, instead of sewing these on the straight edge, we slip stitched after every stitch along the edge to join them together. And either one of those techniques would work. So now this morning, let's see if I can find my yarn. It was here. It was here last night. Here it is. Okay, so most of the time I teach how to join as you go so that you don't have to seam, but sometimes people either don't want to do that, or it's just, it doesn't work for the way that you've made a project. Maybe you've had to put things together on the go and you didn't have access to all of your motifs at once. There's all sorts of reasons why join as you go might not always work for you, and it never hurts to have extra tools in your toolbox. So anytime you can have more options and more techniques to choose from, you just have the ability to be more creative in your project. It's just nice having more options. So what I'm going to show you this morning then is how to line up two pieces that don't line up perfectly and how to sew them together. So the first thing that, and I'm going to turn the camera down to do that. So to do that, I won't be able to see your comments until I bring the camera back up, but I will. And then we can go over comments and questions then. So the first thing you want to do is block them, because you want to make sure that the length is correct and it's not going to grow, and either one of them isn't going to grow in when it gets washed. So you want to make sure you wet block them before joining them together to make sure that the lengths are the correct length and the length that they're going to stay after being affected by water. And then you'll line them up. You could put pins in place, especially if you have a longer seam. You might want to pin every 6 inches or so to make sure that you don't get off course. And then from there, you'll want to just try to find a pattern to your sewing, right? You're going to try to figure out where to sew in the different spots. So for this one, I'm going to turn the camera down now. For this one, mattress stitch might be kind of difficult because on some of the pieces, because on some of the sections of the pink side, we're down to a very little small bit of yarn. On the yellow side, mattress stitch would be fine because it would be working into each of these stitches. And if we had the same shaped piece, so like this one, we could actually line those up perfectly and mattress stitch would work really well here. Oh, let's do that. We'll do mattress stitch here and we'll do whip stitch on the other one. I think that's the best way to show that. So when you can line up your stitches, and it's mostly stitches, not mostly chains on the edge of your work, mattress stitch works really nicely. So it ends up being invisible on the right side and just has a raised edge on the wrong side. So this is right sides facing. I join them with a knot, and I'm going to go in and then back out one at a time on each fabric. So we'll go, so I'm just basing this on the stitch pattern that is facing me at the last row of each of these patterns. So I'm going to go in and out of each double crochet. Hopefully this is showing up well on camera. And you'll see we've got some horizontal bars being created in this contrast color. But because our stitch patterns line up, it really helps me to pace myself and make sure I'm working into the correct stitch. That's one of the things about knitting that's really easy for sewing seams, is that most of the time it's I mean, unless it's lace, you're sewing up seams and you're able to match up the stitches really well. So that's working really well when our stitches are the same on our two pieces in crochet as well. So we're going to go back and forth, in and out on one side, then in and out on the next side. And now it looks like we have that horizontal bar there, but here's the magic of this particular sewing technique. When you tighten it all up, you have this beautiful invisible seam. Even with a contrast color yarn, it becomes invisible and really smooth on the right side. The only thing is it creates a raised ridge on the wrong side. So keep that in mind in your design work. It might, whether that's something that you do want or don't want. Sometimes I think that that's really pretty to show on the right side. So if you wanted that to show on the right side, we would work it with the wrong sides facing us. So we're just going to do it in the opposite direction now so I can show you what I mean. There have been times when I've done this on the wrong side of the work, or with the wrong sides facing, because I really like that raised edge that is created. Now, if you're sewing a sweater and sewing up the side seams, obviously you would want that raised edge to the inside. But what if you were joining motifs in knitting or crochet, and you might want that textured piped edge of the two motifs of showing where they're joined? I think that that can be really pretty. Okay, so now we've joined it on the wrong side, and you can see that ridge ends up showing on the right side. All right, we'll find my scissors now. Obviously, I would have tied a knot and woven in those ends, but we're not doing that this morning. We're just doing demo stuff. Okay, so which one are we going to join to? We'll join to this one. Okay, so now we'll do a whip stitch join. And we could either, depending on your project, who knows which side you would be joining on. You would either be joining on this side or on this side. Now, if I was able to join on this side, my pattern would line up again like it did on this side. And then I have lots of options, and it's really easy because you have those stitch pattern sections to line up. But what if you had to line it up like this? Let's get the side that's harder. What if you had to line it up like this? It might get a little harder to join them. So what I would suggest is to turn your pieces over to the wrong side with the right sides together. And we're going to fold this one in half now instead of laying both pieces flat in front of us. And we're going to start in the corner. This would be the most important time to line your work up and pin it every few inches so that you keep on pace. What'll happen is when you're doing a very long piece of sewing and you're moving along, you may find that you've worked this one too much and this one not enough. And so when you get to here, there isn't enough area to sew here to compare to this side. And you'll have to pull it all back out and start over. So it's really important to keep pace and work evenly into both sides. And the best way to do that, I think, is to pin both pieces every few inches to keep yourself on pace. On a small piece like this, not so much. It's pretty obvious right now, but what if this was the side seam of a sweater and it was 20 inches long? It would be difficult to stay on pace. And I mean, how many things can you focus on at one time? You got to focus on your stitches, focus on where you're putting everything. I'll move my hand out of the way. So I'm just coming up through the bottom, working through both thicknesses, and then coming back down. So it's just wrapping around both pieces. And you'll see it is showing a stitch, but this, because I folded it with the right sides facing, this is the wrong side facing me on the outsides. And so by making that little stitch in both pieces and working my way along, you'll see that this will not show on the right side of the work. And it's not creating a ridged edge on the wrong side either. So although you will see that stitch, and you would see it much less if you used the same color yarn as either of these pieces, if you match the yarn. So there's my whip stitch join. Here's the right side of the work, which you cannot see the seam at all. And here's the wrong side of the work where you will see the seam a little bit, but it is not creating a ridge. So if you did it in a matching yarn, it would be fairly invisible still. So I do think that you would, it would be very beneficial to watch both of these videos to get the most out of this tutorial. So what's today? Today's episode 482. I would highly recommend watching episode 481 as well. All of these techniques apply to knitting as well. Not only both of the all of the sewing techniques, but the crochet techniques as well. You can crochet 2 knit pieces together as well. There's no if you prefer single crochet through both thicknesses, or you prefer slip stitch through both thicknesses, or slip stitch chain 1 through both thicknesses, there is absolutely no reason you can't do that on your knit pieces as well. In fact, even if you would prefer to do a slip stitch join on your knit pieces, you know what else you could do? Work a row of stitches on each edge of your knit piece and then slip stitch join on the second one. So yeah, crocheting knit pieces together, whether you do it invisibly or to show, either way works wonderfully and is pretty. In a pinch, I have slip stitched to join knit side seams on sweaters many times, and that's where I came up with the slip stitch chain 1 version. Something about another shawl, I did not see that. What was I gonna say? Don't know. I don't remember. It was something good. Oh my gosh, it's better in the shade. I can see you better. So for those of you who are excited about the new video series I'm doing on crochet charts, reading crochet charts, I will have you know that I've been working feverishly in the background on that. And actually, I don't know why, but I stopped working around 9 o'clock last night and then picked up my computer and started again at 11, which was not a good idea. And caught myself around 11:30 and went to bed, but making some great progress on those videos and super excited to release them for you. A lot of work trying to get as much information together before I get started taping, but I think it's going to be really worth it, and I think you're going to really enjoy these videos. There's also going to be some PDF downloads to go along with the videos to have handy resource material on reading charts. And so it's just a whole lot of work getting it all put together, but once it's done, I think everyone's going to love having this information, and it's really going to elevate your crochet chart skills. Hi there, baby Bjorn. You want to come say hi? Do you want to come say hi? Not really. You came close, I thought. Can I demo join as I go? I've done that many times in many videos. I don't have pieces to do that right this minute, and we are out of time, but I can certainly do it again in another video. Okay, clones knot. Yep, we can do that as well. Not a problem. Good thing we don't run out of stuff, right? We never run out of stuff. All right, are there any other questions? Yes, Kathy, I can do it live. I cannot do it live this morning. We're out of time and I don't have that information in front of me, but thanks for your request. All right, let's see. Okay. Somebody would like to pick a number between 1 and 5, we will randomly pick a quote. And Lisa says number 5. I think we did 5 last night, but that's okay. Hopefully we'll find a different quote. Ah, this one's nice. This one's an oldie but a goodie, and something that most people already know, but there's never a wrong time to get a good reminder, right? This is by Mahatma Gandhi, one of my favorites of all time. In a gentle way, you can change the world. God, I love this one. This has always, always, always been one of my favorite quotes, because this can apply to how you talk to yourself, how you talk to your family, the choices you make when you leave your home and go out in the world, the choices you make all day long, every day, the big choices, the little choices that can apply to anything, because you can do subtle things and gentle things and still make a huge impact on the people around you, on yourself, and the world. You don't have to be pushy, assertive, and aggressive in order to make changes. You can do it gently as well, and I love that. And so it's a great reminder. It's great validation that you're doing things right if you're already doing it, but it's a great reminder if you need a reminder to do something gentle but still positive every day. So thank you, Mahatma Gandhi. We love this one so much. In a gentle way, you can change the world. Lovely. Well, happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, happy Wednesday, hump day, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the show and tell and the demo, chatting with me and everyone else. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a great day, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.